Hello, trading has closed on September 30th, 2022. Let's start with our disclaimer, go over our calls, make some predictions. This is also the weekend. We go over the longer term picture. Well, this is my trading plan for Monday. Please remember I can be completely wrong. Any trade you make should be at your own risk. Well, let's go over what we said first. Look for the pattern with the early low, which is this. And Monday should see a pattern with an early high. We said unless we gapped and promptly undercut these lows, we should see higher prices regardless of how we closed. We gapped down, never undercut the lows, and in spite of the negative day, we did see higher prices. So that worked. Let me first, before I go over this, a lot of people have been asking me if I'm all right and if Norm Winsky's all right. We live pretty close to each other. And Norm called me. He survived the hurricane. The power was out, but it's been restored, and he's fine. And his house was not hurt. I wasn't in Florida when the hurricane hit. I've either been in or close to about 7 tornadoes. I don't need to add a hurricane to the list, so I wasn't there. People who were there tell me my house is fine, so we got lucky. Okay, back to the market. These are the patterns I'm looking for next week. We said we should lead to higher price regardless of how we close. I said I couldn't count the decline as complete, so even if we went higher, lower prices should be coming. So they certainly did. MEJT generated a higher target, 36.4228. For reasons we'll discuss, if we don't gap down smartly, I don't think it's out of reach. If we avoid gapping down smartly, that's my call. Early on, we got this rally. MEJT said it was false. Prices retraced. Later on, we got an ultimate sell signal that worked. It also gave a higher target, 36.4228. If we can avoid follow-through, that's my call. Here's the daily chart. Anything but a huge gap up tomorrow triggers DeMark's bar 13 sequential buy signal. Now, the signal doesn't have to work, and it doesn't have to be immediate, but at least it's a signal. So if we do get a rebound from here, you can explain it. This is the weekly chart. This is DeMark's TDST line. Here's one full bar under the line. Here's 2 full bars under the line. That's a break of support. All it needs is to trade under today's close by 1 cent. So if you trade under today's close by 1 cent, support breaks. Crashes are rare things, but you could have it. The point is, that's as far as you can go without support breaking. We're under the lower Bollinger Band on the monthly chart. We just tend not to stay there very long. Doesn't mean you can't go lower, but that's usually not where I look to institute new short positions. And if I am short, that's where I look to get out of them. Sometimes, like back in 2020, you'll miss something, but I don't care. I just don't want to be caught in a rebound like this. Not that that's a guarantee from here, but it's about as far as you can go without breaking support and getting one of these crash scenarios, which are rare but not impossible. This is a wall into the close. Timing of this wall is highly suspicious. Usually it means panic selling and gets reversed promptly when the market reopens. The idea is institutions aren't going to panic sell like this, and if it isn't the institutions doing the selling, it must be specialists who are absorbing all this selling, and they're going to get their money back pretty fast. There's one exception to that, and that's the end of the quarter. At the end of the quarter, institutions don't want to be seen holding lots of losing positions when they give their end of quarter report to their shareholders. So they could easily just get rid of stocks, dump at any price. And if that's what this is, which we aren't going to know until Monday, all those sellers will be gone, and we should gap up smartly. That's not a guarantee. We don't know if it's institutions panicking so they won't have to show their losers, but at least the timing makes this highly suspicious. That's not usually when people sell. They don't wait till the last 10 minutes of the week and then get out. Well, this was our count. If we do break support, we have nice wave balance. Now this A is similar to this A, and this C is similar to this C. Of course, it doesn't have to be at all. If it works, fine. If not, it doesn't kill the pattern. And if we keep dropping, we have a nice target around 34.20, 34.15. But as I always say, it's not the only valid count. This is the count we've had, and it certainly isn't complete. I have it completing around 34.15, but look where we stopped. We stopped right where wave C has a fib relationship to wave A. If that's 100%, 61.8 is right there. So at least we have to consider the possibility we've completed an ABC. And then if you look at this wave C down, all these fibs work too. So if that's it, it doesn't really fit with this chart, but again, it's not the only valid count. Remember, way back when this started in January, my favorite target was 32, 32, 62. What if we've just completed A for ABC? What if? Well, if you look back here, you can count any one of these lows as the low of this wave blue A. And if you count this low, then you can actually make things work. You can have this A would be within 1.5 points of having a fib ratio to that A. Something like this. Now if we stop here, we're also stopping right at the 200-week moving average. It doesn't have the panache of the 200-day moving average, but it's also support, and if we gap under it, support breaks. But what if we stop here? What if we stop here and we stop with a 50% retrace? that would be about 4201.38. If that's A, and if B ends with a 50% retrace, what if that's B, and what if C has a good fib relationship to A, 0.786? That's my target to within 1 point. It would be 32.3107, and I posted this back in January. You can't get too much closer than that. Doesn't mean it's right, doesn't mean it's the only count, but if this is panic selling, and if we gap up, I think the ABC's over. We could have a rally. A reasonable target is around 4201, followed by a drop to into 3200s. Now, it doesn't have to work that way. This could all be killed if we move way down here at Monday's open. I don't know. It's one of the possibilities, but I can't rule it out. Monday's pattern has the early high. We could still gap down. There's a higher target. Unless we gap down smartly, the rules call for it to print. We've reached the point where we should either collapse with there being wave balance at around 34.15 cash, or rebound strongly with 42.01 cash being one of the reasonable targets. You don't have to risk money on this thing till you see which of these is going to be. There'll be plenty of room to hop on the train. Today's drop nearly always follows through at Monday's open. It's quite bullish if we gap up smartly instead. I should add in if the close holds. If the wall into the close was panic selling by institutions who didn't want their investors to see them holding lots of losers when they give out the end of quarter report, then those motivated sellers should be gone. And if that's what this was, this late sell-off, we could gap up smartly. We have a VIX Bollinger Band reversal buy signal. We have par 13 of a DeMark sequential buy signal, which should trigger at the open. Sentiment levels are and have been at levels compatible with major bottoms, and that just can't go unrewarded forever. If we trade under today's low, that should be close. We'll confirm the break of the TDST line support on the weekly chart, and the odds for recovery will be greatly reduced. There is wave balance at today's low, so if that low holds, that's an if, one can explain a strong recovery from here. It's not a given. We won't know until Monday if we get what the bulls need. I don't like catching falling knives, but if we gap up here, you really have all you need, and if we don't, you have all you need for a crash. So it's Fisher cut bait time on Monday. It's the pattern with the early high. If we gap up, it should have legs, and if not, it could collapse, and that's today's call.